Electric vehicles are often hailed as the solution to our climate crisis. Governments are pushing for them, automakers are investing billions, and you probably know someone who's made the switch. But what if I told you EVs might not be the future we imagine? Despite their promise, electric vehicles face significant challenges that could derail their widespread adoption. From battery limitations and environmental costs to infrastructure gaps and economic hurdles, there are hidden obstacles few people talk about. Today, we're diving deep into why electric vehicles might not live up to the hype, and what that means for the future of transportation. At the core of every electric vehicle is its battery. Most EVs today rely on lithium-ion technology, the same kind powering your smartphone or laptop. But here's the catch. These batteries have limitations. The average electric car offers a range of around 250 to 350 miles on a full charge, depending on the model and driving conditions. While that might be enough for daily commuting, it pales in comparison to gasoline cars, which can easily travel 500 miles or more on a single tank. And then there's the issue of charging time. Even with fast charging stations, refueling an EV can take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. And that's if you're lucky enough to find an available high-speed charger. For home charging, you could be waiting 8 to 12 hours or more. Compare that to the 5 minutes it takes to fill up a gas tank, and you start to see the problem. But that's not all. Over time, EV batteries suffer from degradation. Just like your phone's battery, an EV battery loses capacity the more it's used. After 5 to 10 years, many EVs experience a significant drop in range, leading to costly battery replacements. A new battery pack can cost anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 or more. Automakers are trying to improve battery technology, but we're still a long way from a perfect solution. Batteries rely on specific materials like lithium, cobalt, and nickel, and these resources are not limitless. The demand for lithium alone is expected to quadruple by 2030. Most of the world's lithium comes from a handful of countries like Australia, Chile, and Argentina. Meanwhile, 70% of the world's cobalt comes from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where mining conditions are notoriously dangerous and often involve child labor. These ethical concerns raise serious questions. Are EVs truly sustainable if their production depends on such exploitative practices? Furthermore, as demand for these materials rises, so do prices. In 2022, lithium prices skyrocketed by over 400%, creating economic uncertainties for the entire EV market. Add to that the threat of geopolitical tensions disrupting supply chains, and the foundation of the EV industry starts to look shaky. Without breakthroughs in battery technology or new ways to source these materials, the future of EVs remains uncertain. We often hear that electric vehicles are environmentally friendly, but are they really? Producing an EV isn't as green as you might think. The process of mining lithium, cobalt, and nickel requires enormous amounts of water and energy, often leading to soil and water pollution. For example, extracting 1 ton of lithium can use up to 500,000 gallons of water, a massive drain on resources, especially in arid regions. Manufacturing an electric vehicle generates about 60% more carbon emissions than building a traditional gasoline car. This is largely due to the energy-intensive process of battery production. So, while EVs produce no tailpipe emissions, their upfront environmental cost is significant. And what happens when these batteries reach the end of their life? Recycling EV batteries is expensive and technically challenging. If we don't figure out better recycling methods, we risk creating a new environmental crisis, with millions of discarded batteries piling up in landfills. While cities are rapidly expanding their charging networks, rural and remote areas remain underserved. In the US, 80% of EV chargers are concentrated in just a few metropolitan areas. If you live in a small town or plan a road trip through the countryside, you might struggle to find a charger. In countries with developing economies, the situation is even worse. Limited access to reliable electricity means EV adoption is nearly impossible. To support a future where EVs dominate the roads, we need a global investment in charging infrastructure, and that's an expensive, time-consuming challenge. Imagine millions of EVs plugged in every night. Our power grids aren't ready for that. In places like California or Texas, where blackouts are already common, mass EV adoption could cause even more strain. Upgrading the power grid to handle this demand would cost billions of dollars and take decades to complete. In regions where electricity is still generated from coal or natural gas, increased demand could ironically lead to higher carbon emissions. Despite government subsidies, electric vehicles remain pricey. The average EV costs around $50,000, while a comparable gas-powered car costs around $35,000. Even after purchase, EV battery replacements and repairs can be costly, making EVs inaccessible for many people. If EVs aren't the perfect solution, what is? Alternatives like hydrogen fuel cells and synthetic fuels are gaining traction. Hydrogen vehicles refuel quickly and emit only water vapor. Synthetic fuels could keep existing engines running, but with fewer emissions. EVs are part of the solution, but not the whole answer. To create a sustainable future, we need a mix of technologies. What do you think? Let us know in the comments.